Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for the webinar, The Art of Work-Life Balance. I'd quite like to know if you can hear me okay. If you can see the question box, it would be great if you could just put a wee comment in there, let me know if you can hear me okay. Okay. All good, perfect. Thank you, Mark. Right, we'll get started. I'm delighted that you've decided to join me here and take the first step in achieving a better work-life balance. Sometimes it seems it can be impossible, but hopefully by the end of this event, you'll recognise there are simple steps you can take in order to prioritise the things that matter most to you and make your life feel more fulfilling overall. Any questions that you have as we go along, just pop them in the chat box and we can answer them as we go. So first things first, that thing in your pocket or on the table next to you, or maybe charging just a few feet away, your smartphone. I confess that mine is just sitting there just next to me. I'm guessing you've got one there, you can see it, about 77% of us do. Smart devices are fantastic tools. You've got the answer to almost any question at your fingertips. You can reach anyone at any time, anywhere in the world. And best of all, your phone acts like a million tools in one, thanks to all the apps that you've got on there. But unfortunately, our technology makes us accessible to our work around the clock, because most of us are glued to our phones anyway, and it can be really difficult to draw the boundaries between your work life and your personal life. The compounding stress from never-ending working days is really hurting us. It's hurting relationships with loved ones, it's harming our health, and it's definitely affecting our overall happiness. You've likely joined this webinar today because you feel that you've been spending too much time enveloped in your work and not enough time doing the things that are important to you. Studies have shown that stress at work can be just as dangerous as secondhand smoke. It's hard to believe, isn't it? And that high job demands increase the odds of having a doctor-diagnosed illness by 35%. So you're more likely to be ill if you've got a high stress at work. And research has also shown that long work hours increases the chances of early death by 20%. And long-term overworking can lead to anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, insomnia, and a weakened immune system. So it's all very doom and gloom, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But compromising your health is not worth any job. So not having the right work-life balance is affecting your health, and that is just not worth it. So we need to think about letting go of perfectionism. You know, when you're in school and your whole life revolves around getting your homework done and your projects completed, when you're at university, all you have to focus on is your studies and your social life pretty much. And it's easy to focus all your attention on your work. And if you're the type of person who spent a lot of time and energy focusing on school, then these perfectionist habits are likely to have followed you into adulthood. Unfortunately, as we get older, our responsibilities become broader. Instead of spending our free time studying for a test, we've got to balance relationships, errands, children. At this point, the idea of achieving perfection, it becomes out of reach. And the first step to achieving a work-life balance is accepting that. Yeah, nobody's perfect. Even, you know, the people that you think are perfect, they're not really. It's just the persona that they're outwardly portraying. So do you notice any similarities for your current work ethic to how you treated your education? If anybody's got any comments, put them in the box. You know, comparing your work ethic to your education. So instead of striving for perfection, let's aim for excellence. You know, that not that long ago, it was a badge of honor almost to work a 7-day week and a 12-hour day. But thankfully, that hard work, play hard mentality is falling to the wayside. As a society, we're realizing the harm that comes with trying to have it all. We're beginning to understand that personal wellness is important and that mental health should take a priority. Achieving that level of wellness often means letting go of trying to be perfect in every aspect of your life and just shooting for your own personal meaning of excellence. So have a think to yourselves, what does excellent mean for you? Because everybody's goals are different, and don't compare yourself to others, just work out what's right for you. So back to the technology. A second step to achieving a work-life balance is learning when to unplug. For example, if you delete your work email off your phone so that you're not tempted to respond during out of hours, it's a great way to establish a clear boundary. You might need to give your colleagues a heads up first, because if they're trying to get in contact with you and you've previously responded to emails out with working hours, then they might be a bit confused as to why you suddenly stopped doing that. So understand that there are times when you just have to turn your phone off and enjoy the moment. You know, those notifications just interrupting your time off, or they send deeper signals to your psyche, alerting your mind of things that are unfinished, and send stress hormones through your system. So by not reacting to notifications, you develop stronger habits of resilience, and it's resilient people feel a greater sense of control over their lives in general. You knew it was coming. It's not everyone's favourite thing to hear, but I think we all know that exercise is a great way to keep your body and your mind in tip-top shape. When we're busy, we let things slip. Sometimes we skip meals, we don't get enough sleep, and that's a massive problem. One thing that can really affect this unhealthy cycle and force you to eat and sleep is exercise. Suggestions to download an app and make time for a few minutes of yoga every day. Take a few minutes to practice your plank. I don't look this good when I'm doing my plank, I tell you that. Work your core. Do something that challenges you just enough to make you feel as though you've completed something that you can feel good about. Does anybody have any tips you want to share in the chat box for how to squeeze exercise into your day? I had a couple of options that I've been doing recently. I take the dogs for a walk every morning, so instead of just walking with them, I discovered that they were quite good at running with me, so I'd try a bit of running. Another alternative was to get my husband to get the kids ready for school, and I've been going to the gym sometimes before I go to work. Just go to the gym and have my shower after I've been to the gym, and then head on to work. Trying to make a habit of getting exercise into your day is really useful. The main goal is to find something that you enjoy doing and that makes you feel good after you've done it, so that you don't think of it as a chore. Running's not for everyone. Yoga's not everyone's cup of tea. You know, maybe you enjoyed playing basketball as a kid with your friends after school, or you know, you played football. It's a great way to keep in shape. So maybe do some research and find a local league you can join, or even just track down a basketball court near you and just turn up and start playing. You know, we were almost always more active in our childhood, so think back to the things you enjoyed doing and find ways to reintroduce them into your life. More than acting as an effective stress reliever, exercise can also send you into a meditative state as well. So speaking of meditation, many great thinkers and doers section off time in their day for a few moments of meditation. Oprah Winfrey, for example, has always been an outspoken advocate for meditation. Rupert Murdoch, Arianna Huffington, the editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post, lots of people are really getting into meditation these days. It reduces stress, and it's a great way to take a time to check in with yourself and evaluate any pain or mental stress that might be subconsciously tucked away because we're too busy to notice it, not to mention take care of it. A big step in making sure that your relationship with time is healthy is to identify what's important in your life and keep those things your top priority. You should draw firm boundaries so that you can devote your time to these high priority people and activities. If you want to take up meditation and realize that you've got a game on your phone that you notice you always turn to, well, delete the game and then spend that time thinking about how you can replace that time with some meditation and some quality time to check in with yourself. If you've got a habit of spending hours at night watching TV, but you wish you spent more time with the kids, then think about starting a family game night, or choose some specific evenings where you and your kids can prepare a meal together. Or if you get lost in online videos and find yourself dragged into a vortex of cat videos at least once a week, a vortex of cat videos at least once a week, try downloading a productivity app, something that reminds you to get back on track. So do you see the trend here? Oh, I've just noticed we've got a nice suggestion in the chat box there, just to take 5 minutes out at any time of the day to do some stretches. Stretching can be really energizing when you're struggling with, when you feel like you're flagging. Just go and do a few stretches and sort of re-energizes yourself. Gets you very, very useful to do. You can't pour from an empty cup. The most difficult part of work-life balance is learning to say no. Saying no is the key to cutting back on wasted time and making the most of the time you do have. If you find yourself engulfed in conversations with the secretary at work every day when you know you've got work to do, then, just politely excuse yourself. If your co-workers ask you out for drinks when you're tired, you're allowed to say no and spend a quiet night in. Focus on the things that are most rewarding to you, and often that means putting yourself first. So if you're in the position to do so at your job, sit down and set your expectations with your boss and your co-workers. It's your right to negotiate because your time is precious. For many of us, saying no can be difficult, and for good reason. We want people to like us. It's only human, and you're not alone in feeling this way. Even people who write and strategize for a living can have a difficult time typing out the word no when we're being asked for a favor by someone we care about. So let me tell you right now, it's okay to say no. And more importantly, you should say no every once in a while, especially if you've got other things that you need to tend to. Even if that other thing that you need to tend to is your own self-care. Even if it's a little bit awkward, say no. So I mentioned earlier about the 7-day week and the 12-hour day, and often it just feels like that's normal and that's what everybody else does. But let's put normal in an international context. Is it normal for humans to work this much? So the UK ranks number 29 out of 38 countries in a work-life balance study. So the other European countries with much higher rates of happiness, I might also add, that we could take a few notes from include the Netherlands, where they work a 4-day week or a 29-hour work week. They've got really good paid holidays, maternity and paternity leave, and the right to reduce their hours to part-time without any risk of losing their job. Denmark has the choice of when to start their work day. You know, it's not, they can start earlier, finish earlier, and start later, finish later. And they've got the option of whether to work from home, and they get a minimum of 5 weeks paid holiday for all workers. And in France, they have a policy encouraging employees to disconnect from work email while off work. 25 public holiday days, 25 of them in a year. So how do you feel about our idea of normal now? So not only do employees benefit from better work-life balance, but employers benefit too. And in my role as business coach, I'm trying to help business owners to get better results from their team. And the numbers show that employers that prioritize work-life balance for themselves and their team generate more profit. How's that? When employees are overworked, they get burnt out and they get considerably less done in the workplace. The studies have shown that stress and fatigue of burnout can actually lead to brains that look exactly like they're asleep. I think we've seen those people in workplaces. The corporate executive board, which represents 80% of the Fortune 500 companies, found that employees who believe that they have a good work-life balance work 21% harder than those who don't. And that was after researching 500,000 global workers. It's also, there's a decrease in staff turnover. It's costly to replace workers because the company loses productivity when a worker leaves a job, and then the inevitable learning curve of the next worker can make a company lose money as well. One study found that more than 1 in 4 employees at organisations who thought they had no support for work-life balance planned to leave their employer within the next 2 years. But for workers who felt that their employer did support a work-life balance, only 17% planned on leaving. 89% of HR professionals report an increase in employee retention once they start implementing flexible work arrangements. So, you know, that's true proof of the importance of this vital balance. So as an employer, here's a list of things that you can do to encourage a better work-life balance. You can offer flexible or alternative hours. So if they start the day earlier and get the work done, then let them. You know, if they want to work 4 10-hour days and have Fridays off, then give them that option. Allow them to work from home if that's appropriate, and offer more time off. Especially when it comes to maternity and paternity leave. You have to understand that by supporting your employees, you're supporting your business. It's an interesting one. Provide childcare or pet care options if possible. You know, we all know that it's not uncommon for employers to offer low-cost childcare options in the workplace. And if you as an employer can take away the stress of finding childcare from your employee, then they're going to work harder for you and will be less likely to leave. As for pets, try to allow employees to bring their 4-legged friends to the office. I mean, it's well known that pets offer emotional support and they lower stress. So if you can do that around the workplace, what's wrong with that? Another thing you can do is to host company-sponsored family events like picnics or barbecues, just to show appreciation of the families of your hardworking employees. So if anybody's got any other suggestions, pop them in the chat box and we can share. So if you're in the market for a new job, your work-life balance planning starts before you accept your next job. At an interview, keep your ears open to the company's view on distance working, what their work culture is, what the time flexibility is, and so on. If you get a chance to chat directly with employees that are there, ask if the work culture is family friendly. Are there daycare benefits? What happens if a parent has to request time off at the last minute for a family emergency, like caring for a sick child, because I know it happens more often than it's convenient. Take the time to determine your real needs from the broadest perspective. If your child is your number one priority, maybe it makes sense to take the lower paying job that's closer to the kids' nursery, for example. And, as a parent, work-life balance is really hard, but other things that you can do: bring your kids into the office if you can, and let them see that their photos or artwork are sitting in your workspace. It lets them know that they're on your mind and that you think about them, even though you're not with them. When you're at work, you're thinking about them, that they're with you effectively. It not only makes your child feel included, but also helps with the integration of things you enjoy to your work setting. Surrounding your work area with things and people that you enjoy will remind you of your priorities, as well as the why behind all you do. Now, we all know that New Year's resolutions are rarely achieved or maintained long term. The strictest of diets are broken just days after you start, because we're trying to push ourselves too quickly. Trying to make room for work-life balance can end the same way if we don't think carefully about what's actually achievable. Baby steps are okay, probably best. If you'd like to spend more time with your family, don't start by vowing that you're going to be home every night. Start out with once or twice a week and keep your goals realistic and sustainable. One last thing, work-life balance means something different to everyone. Perhaps for you, balance isn't the right word. Maybe you own your own business and you're living solo and loving it, which is fantastic. In this case, maybe the phrase work-life harmony or work-life blend sounds more doable. But what is important for you is to practice self-care. Make time for your mental and physical health, because in the end, the highest thing that should be on your to-do list is you. So please reach out to me. I'd love to have a chat with you about your work-life balance, and also about the other ways that I help business owners to take back control of their lives. My contact details are there by email or phone, and I'd love to get together for a coffee or just have a chat on the phone and get to know you. So thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. I've really enjoyed sharing with you all, and really excited for you to go and find your way to healthy work-life balance. I'll be around for questions and comments. Don't hesitate to reach out. Love to have a chat. Put any comments that you've got in the chat box there. I know you all want to learn how to prioritize the most important things in your life, and I hope that I've at least started to convince you that you are one of those important things. I hope you feel a little more optimistic about the potential of work-life balance working for you, and I can't wait for you all to forge on and live your best lives, because this is just some tips at the start. So thank you very much, everyone. Any comments or questions? Okay, if nobody's got any comments in the box there, I'm going to end the session. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope to see you here next time.